Hello, everybody. Welcome back to G breaking down isometrics. This one specifically for the rotator cuff. We'll get right into it. Feel free to ask any questions along the way. This is a live recording, however, can be played back on YouTube at any time. Okay, where did I go? There I am. Let's see if I can go here. Okay, so great. So here we go. Internal rotation. I have the tin deck. Can you see my mouse? Let's see here. I have the tin deck set up, attached to a rope, attached to the Rogue rack. If you've seen my other content, I use the Rogue rack as an isometric rack. Here's an example. So again, we're getting internal rotation, getting 90 degrees in the elbows. Again, internal rotation. I'm also bracing myself with the other arm. And this is important because you can get an isometric contraction on the other side too. So again, anytime you're in doubt, get the joints to 90 degrees. And you're working for 30 seconds, 8 out of 10 effort. 30 seconds, 8 out of 10 effort. Okay, some external rotation. Again, getting the joint angle, the elbow to 90 degrees, bracing yourself with your other hand. The other arm is also in an isometric contraction. And if you don't have a dynamometer, that's fine. You can do this with anything. Be creative in the way that you set this up. However, the Rogue rack is very simple, as you can see. A lot of variability and flexibility in isometrics using this rack. So again, here, using my right hand and arm also at 90 degrees to brace myself as I'm getting external rotation. The reason why I'm doing this, bringing this to your attention, is because I've had a lot of people talking about shoulder health and elbow health. So I started tinkering with this myself, single arm isometrics, measured isometrics, okay? And single joint, trying to get specific joint angles and specific tension at those muscles. I say with isometrics, there's no waste. It's like electricity, direct, instant energy. There's no leakage. So getting direct tension to the joints. So single arm, single joint here. This is as specific as you can possibly get in exercise. So let me just pause this really quick. Keeping the arm straight. So again, trying to get 90 degrees anywhere that we can get them. Here you can see at the shoulder, I have 90 degrees. Not leaning, okay? Right angles, getting right angles as much as we can get. So single arm, single joint, a lot of tension in that specific joint. And if you get 8 out of 10 effort at 30 seconds, that's going to put enough tension on the tendon to support our joints. But let's not be, okay, let's just be honest here too, is you're getting muscle activation too. So you're getting hypertrophy. I've gained more chest volume since doing internal rotation. My intent was to fortify the shoulder, but indirectly I got internal rotation, a little bit of abduction, and that gave me more chest activation and stimulation and has grown my chest muscle more indirectly. It's great. Okay, so the lateral raise here. Again, I would, how do I say this? Bracing yourself is important because you're only as strong as you are stable. And what's the point of doing stable exercises? if we're not stable through the ground in our positioning. And taking some time to set up your home isometrics routine and equipment and setup. This didn't come overnight. This may seem simple, having the hook here at the bottom of the rogue rack and the Isomax strap and the Tindeck and this, this takes some time to work through. But once it's set up, you can really tell quickly. So again, I'm bracing myself on the other hand. You can really tell how direct this tension is. And then keep going back to it. So elbow flexion, elbow extension. 90 degrees, bracing yourself with the other hand, making sure we're not rotating. We're keeping our hips and our shoulders square to whatever we're looking at. Feet in the ground, feet straight ahead. Working both sides of the muscles, the biceps and the triceps, trying to flex both at the same time.
That's it for today.
Shoulder extension.
Have a great weekend.
Trying to straighten that elbow out. Get it behind me, pressing away from me here. You get huge tricep work here with this one too. My clients always talk about their response to isometrics with their triceps, and they say that they feel growth and tension in the triceps, and I don't do anything directly for the triceps except this, but I rarely do this elbow extension, and the reason why is because I have to now take the strap overhead, which is not really the biggest. It's very simple. So the strap has to be anchored overhead to get elbow flexion. But when you're working with a client, like, you never want to hit them in the face with a carabiner. So going up overhead anytime, I got to be careful because that thing's going to swing down. If I don't have a good hook shot, that might come crack, Aunt Susie in the side of the head. I can't have that. But anyway, back to my point. I don't do much direct tricep work, and it still gets crushed with isometrics. So, but this is 90 degrees at the elbow extension. I'm looking the other side. And this in of itself can be a routine. So, internal and external rotation, 90-90 external rotation, shoulder flexion and extension, elbow flexion and extension. Okay, and then I'm here, I think I'm just working to some push-pull. So, okay, let's just talk through push-pull real quick with isometrics. The push-pull splits. You hear people talking about push-pull splits in their dynamics. How about push-pull exercises in one set? Okay, Brad Thorpe with IsoFit put me onto this. One arm is pushing, one arm is pulling. Okay, so here I'm bracing myself with my right arm, and that's pressing. My left arm is pulling back in a row, and my feet are in the ground, okay? And you're working anti-rotation. You're bracing your abs, you're pressing your arm away, one arm back. I always say when I'm doing my low body, I think about separating the feet. Here it's separating the hands. So this is more compound. Okay, now if you're looking to complete an isometric workout and you have some energy left, which you should, and you have a little bit more isometric, you got a little bit more in you. Pull when I find one. I sometimes do. Okay, nice. So I forgot what I was reading a comment, and I forgot what I was saying. So if you have some fuel left in the tank, do some compound isometrics where you're getting a lot of joints involved: the shoulder, the elbows, the hips, the knees. This is where you'll start to get fatigued and gassed. However, if you want to have like a low intensity set while still getting direct, instant tension on the muscles, then do single joint, single arm work. It's less taxing on the central nervous system. Let's continue on, by the way. I'm going on. Let's continue with this video. But if you have to do some finishers, compound exercises. I think that's it, actually. Okay. So that's basically it. I was going to make that its own separate video, but I just find at times when I am on live and having to do it live, that's when I provide the best voiceovers. I'll take any questions at this time, if anybody has any. If not, that's fine. I can kind of talk about some other items with isometrics. And something to note is effort and exercise. If someone has the right protocol, do they need to put forth as much effort? Any alternatives when you don't have a rack? You have to anchor. So the question is, any alternatives when you don't have a rack? So you have to anchor you have to have anchors at some point. Fortunately, the Rogue power racks are heavy enough that they're all anchor points. It's all anchor points. So, how can you anchor? You can use a door frame. Otherwise, if you want to use a handle, you have to anchor into something. I'll be right back. This is a Harambe system door anchor. Okay, so like you close this into the door, and then you just this is an option. But if the simplicity of the Rogue power racks is unbeatable, because otherwise you're going to be drilling into your walls, which is not the worst thing ever if you have studs and 2x4s. And I'm trying to think how else you can get this done. Going from the ground is easier because you can just step on a foot plate or a 2x6. Anchoring into the ground is simple. It's isometrics that need to be overhead and at eye level and shoulder level. That's why you either have to use a power rack, or you have to use an anchor, or you have to drill some eye hooks into the wall, which are all worthy options. Good question. The benefit of isometrics is that you just need one sturdy piece of equipment. Once you have eye hooks in the garage, sounds good, yes. You just need one sturdy piece of equipment. From there, you have 1 million exercises. So invest in the one piece of anchor, because really all overcoming isometrics is restraints. And restraints need to be anchored somewhere in the ground eventually. So that's how you break it down and think about it. So I think I was saying something. Sometimes the effort in isometrics doesn't feel like it's that exhausting. Thanks for the great advice. You're welcome. Sometimes it doesn't feel that exhausting. And then you get results and you get stronger, and it makes you think, do I really have to tax myself for exercise? Is there another way? I wonder if the human body needs an extreme stimulus to adapt. When did it get so extreme? When did leanness become so extreme? If anything, leanness should be something the body wants to obtain. So why do we have to go all extreme to obtain something the body already wants? I've been trying to sit here and not move around too much and just answer questions where I'm not getting a workout in myself. So allow me to sit back here. Let me think if I can tell you my workout that I did today. I did hip abduction. I used the ISOFIT. Might as well plug the equipment I use right now is the ISOFIT, ISOPHIT, the ISOMAX, ISOMAX, Tindeq dynamometer, TINDEQ dynamometer. And I'm an isometrics guy, but I do support Harambe system if I am going to get some dynamic work in. This is my go-to here. What do you guys use? I've used the wall, yoga straps, you name it. I've tried it and worked with clients. Seems to be that clients like laying down. Wow. The clients like laying down, preferably on a stretch table. So my goal is to make them as comfortable as possible. DIY ISO chain and door frames. Heck yeah, man. The DIY ISO chain, is that measured or are you just straight chain, pulling from the chain and hoping to God that you're all very effective? The door frame is low-key a great tool because, again, going back to anchors, you have a frame to work with. Yoga straps, one piece of wood. 2 yoga straps, 1 piece of wood. Oh yes. Now you have 2 yoga straps, so are you restraint? Are you putting restraint on opposing limbs and such? Like a single leg deadlift, or maybe a lateral raise, or maybe a palms facing each other deadlift. Why two yoga straps? Why 2? And if anybody watched my most recent videos, have been playing around at the gym that I work at and have been lifting heavy weights. I put a small barbell through the yoga strap loops. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Is the yoga straps allowing you to get the barbell on your front rack or back rack? Or do you not do any sort of thing like that and can clip on a handle? Great. To any loop, great. Use the handles. I was just going to say that. Use the handles. Is the height of the barbell high enough where you can load it on your back or on your front rack position? Or is this all Zercher and deadlift position? Not high enough for that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And I just asked that because it's not necessary. However, if you're looking, Zercher mainly, great. If you're looking to get the most compound isometric exercise, the tension has to start at the top of the body. Okay, and then as you go down, it becomes less compound and safer, I would say. because then you go into a belt squat, and which is just really safe for them. I would say is probably the safest way. I can get some tri extensions above my head. That's great. How awesome, guy. How awesome are the tricep extension, single arm tricep extension, or even with the barbell? I mean, how great of an isometric feel is that? Where what I add to that is knee bend. So you're here in your tricep extension, bend your knees, let your chest fall forward a little bit. I like to think of like a soccer throw-in, where the people start with their knees bent and your toes are pointed straight ahead. So now we're getting compound, like again, we're moving the resistance up the body. Now you're even overhead here. So now you've created more fulcrums, which has involved more joints, which is which is stimulating more muscle fiber, which is becoming more and more compound. I hope I didn't lose you there. So yes, think about a soccer throw-in, or like a really bad basketball shot. What else is here? It's like a volleyball put. Is that what they call that? A put? Speaking of volleyball, I've never worked with a volleyball athlete. I managed to do most of Bruce Lee's isos. Okay, great. So you're getting a lot of compound, and he's got some single joint exercises, I believe. But yeah, I think he goes like lockout position, mid position, low position. Is that what he does? But yeah, that's fantastic. What are your results? I don't want to be the protocol that does not provide results and spends and wastes their time on talking about the stimulus. Not waste their time, but people in the fitness industry will bash other people's techniques without even providing results of their own that they've had with their clients. Why don't we compare and contrast results and not protocol? Pretty patchy results is I'm not training consistently, okay? But I have seen the effects and getting back into it. Okay, that's fine. That's fair. That's an honest feedback. I prefer honest feedback over dishonest feedback. Dishonest, would that be the opposite? Dishonest, yeah. Let's see if there's anything else that I want to briefly show here. Yes, I can do this. Just give me a moment here. I'm going to go move from studio. We're going to share screen, video file. And we're going to go here and just bear with me here for a moment. This is This is 45-pound dumbbells. So like I said, I was at the gym playing around with the weights that I have there, randomly filming myself. I went 45 pounds. It felt good. I got that for 5 reps. So I went to 65 pounds and I did 2 reps, 65-pound dumbbell. That felt good. And I said, all right, I'm going to try 75 for 1. And I strapped up 75 and I tried it for 1. And I got 1. And I tried it for 2 and I failed. However, I didn't like the way that it was pulling down on my belly. Like, this is the thing about dynamic movement, is other parts of your body might not be able to brace for that amount of weight. So I feel like I would have been able to pull up more with the 75s, but I feel like it was pulling down. We look at a chin up mostly from chest up, from back up, but what is the chin up doing to your like low back and your abs and stuff too? What if there's indirect safety concerns there that we're missing? But anyway, okay, I did that. Just want to mention I used a door frame for overhead press. Oh man, that's lethal. The overhead press in the door frame, you can also get where you drive your hands away from each other. You drive your hands out and up. That's crazy tension. All right, well, let me we'll do one more thing here. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. I wish I was faster at this at this part of it. Hmm. Here's 225 in a squat, and it's not that's I've done more in the past. I come from playing football in high school and college, but the stability, I'd say the stability that isometrics has given me through all the points of range of motion has been noticeable. Being able to pause in isometric contractions through the range of motion with a lot of weight. But I find myself when I'm doing dynamic exercise, I find myself wanting to just cut to the isometric, cut to failure. Like, just work me to where I'm holding myself in position, on with it. It's like knowing the end of a movie, seeing a movie before and having to rewatch it, just wanting to see the end of the movie. So I find myself doing dynamic exercise and I'm like, let me just do a hold here. Why am I wasting my time? I don't mean it's not wasting time. Maybe it is, I'm not sure. So I have other content. Maybe there's some exclusive stuff. I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And my brother tells me I should do something for 1,000 subscribers. 1,000 subscribers. And he's like, give out some merch. I don't have any merch. So that's not an option. I also don't want to. My wife said to do 1,000 jumping jacks live, which is funny. I might do that, but I also don't want to celebrate a goal by having to do something exhausting. But or do nothing. That's always a great option too. Is just go to 1,000 and then look for 1,001. Maybe I could rebrand into something where I can sell some merch. Always listen to your wife, man. I know that is the greatest bit of advice too. Something happened last night actually where my wife told me that she recommended me do something and I did not do it. She said, okay, okay. And what we were avoiding happening, which was my dog, who's a 14-year-old pit bull going on 15, has been losing some control. So my wife recommended we put her in another room. And I said, no, she's good tonight. She's good tonight. 1 a.m. I woke up to an episode that my dog had. And this morning my wife looked at me like, I said, you told me to put the dog away and I didn't listen. And that backfired. But while I'm on the topic here, married men, do we have married dads? Do we have dads here? How does exercise correlate with the family? Is your kids getting into exercise? Yeah, I'm just interested to hear because that's the new part for me is being a dad and how that plays into everything. And I think it plays great into the hands of isometrics. You know, short workouts where you're not overly exhausted and you have energy to go and pick up the toys or play with the kids or do things of that nature. What if we can just help each other out as dads and husbands Going to the gym with my daughter later here in Australia. See? What if we can be better dads and husbands? I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case. If we can find an exercise protocol that gives us more energy for our kids, or just anything else, our families, it gives us energy, right? We don't want to be drained afterwards. We want the practical amount of muscle and the practical amount of strength and the practical amount of time. And that's what I'm trying to do here, and we're doing that together. And that's all for me. Speaking of being a dad and a husband, let me go and do that. I appreciate your time. Truly, genuinely appreciate your time. I hear you all about functional strength and minimum time. Minimum time to maximize everything else in your life. Great talking with you, Guy. Great talking with you. Best of luck to you. Check back in whenever I'm live, or if you have any other questions, reach out. Anyone else that's here and watching until this, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to hearing more. Thanks. You can DM me on Instagram, Scampone Training. Leave some feedback. Again, I'm curious to hear results and what can we fine tune to make sure that we're getting the results that we're looking for. Okay. And thank you for everyone, for everything. Over and out.